Flora Yukhnovich's paintings feel both familiar and completely new. Her work is steeped in art history, borrowing from the pastel excesses of Rococo, the rich symbolism of Dutch still lifes, and even the unsettling narratives of horror films. Yet, instead of merely recreating this, she dismantles them, blurring figures into abstraction, letting color explode across the canvas, and transforming delicate motifs into something raw and unpredictable. Flora Yukhnovich has emerged as one of the most hyped contemporary painters, blending historical influences with modern abstraction to challenge perceptions of femininity, beauty, and art. But what exactly makes her paintings so unique? Let's explore her creative process and the ideas that drive her art. But before we continue, hit that subscribe button because just like Yukhnovich reimagines Rococo, we're here to reimagine how you experience art one video at a time. Flora Yukhnovich's work is often inspired by 18th century Rococo art, particularly the works of Fragonard and Muse. These artists, often dismissed for their frivolity, painted idyllic, romanticized visions of aristocratic leisure. Yukhnovich, however, sees something deeper. She sees an opportunity to question what is deemed serious and what is considered decorative in art. She takes elements from Rococo and reinterprets them through gestural abstraction, transforming delicate imagery into something raw and expressive. She has also drawn inspiration from Dutch and Flemish still lifes, particularly their rich symbolism of luxury, decay, and mortality. These paintings explore time's passage, themes that Yukhnovich incorporates into her work by abstracting floral imagery and layering compositions that becomes interpretations of transformation. Beyond art history, Yukhnovich is influenced by horror films, particularly those that show the idea of the monstrous feminine. Films like Carrie, Teeth and Raw examine how female bodies are perceived, feared or controlled by dark forces. These narratives resonate with Yukhnovich's exploration of blooming and decay, drawing parallels between flowers and femininity, where beauty and fear coexist within a single subject. She challenges traditional ideals of delicate beauty versus aggression, using sweeping gestural strokes to reinterpret typically feminine imagery, such as flowers, in a raw, dynamic way. Her paintings question why certain motifs are linked to femininity and whether they can be reclaimed to express something more powerful. Rococo has historically been dismissed as a decorative, superficial style, yet its complexity and visual abundance offer a rich space for interpretation. By abstracting Rococo elements and reintroducing them in a contemporary context, she questions why some art forms have been marginalized and how aesthetics influence cultural perceptions. Yukhnovich's approach to painting is intuitive yet deeply considered. She begins with extensive mood boards, collecting images from historical paintings, contemporary media, film stills, and fashion photography to develop a visual vocabulary. This allows her to merge past and present, making art historical references feel contemporary. Color plays a fundamental part in her process. Inspired by Rococo palettes, she heightens or alters colors to evoke contemporary associations. By manipulating tones, she can make a painting feel modern or aged, digital or classical, crafting layers of meaning through hue and contrast. Unlike the precise layered glazing techniques of old masters, Yukhnovich works in an expressive gestural style. She allows the paint to behave unpredictably, embracing accidental elements to guide her compositions. This dynamic between control and chaos mirrors her thematic exploration of femininity. Delicacy meets disruption, and tradition is transformed into something new and contemporary. The way she applies paint is as important as the imagery itself. Her brushstrokes create rhythm, energy and movement, making her paintings visual experiences and almost bodily ones, where gesture, pressure and fluidity play as much a role as the final image itself. Yukhnovich's engagement with historical art is not about imitation but reinterpretation. She borrows compositions, color schemes and motifs, breaking them down into something new. This is evident in her abstractions of Dutch still lifes, where she zooms in on textures of decay and transformation, or in her references to Boucher's pastoral paintings, where she abstracts figures into fluid, ambiguous forms. She also incorporates contemporary cultural references, often reflected in her playful and sometimes provocative titles. By naming works after pop culture, music, or film, she bridges the gap between historical traditions and modern sensibilities. For example, she titled one of her works A World of Pure Imagination, a reference to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, linking escapism, fantasy, and excess in both 18th century and contemporary imagery. Rather than seeing her work as competing with historical masterpieces, Yukhnovich considers it an act of homage. She acknowledges the lineage of artists borrowing and transforming past influences, positioning herself within this tradition rather than against it. A key question that underpins Yukhnovich's work is, what makes art serious? Historically, ornamentation, decoration, and beauty have often been dismissed as less intellectual or profound. These are associations that frequently align with gendered biases. Yukhnovich challenges this by embracing decorative traditions and pushing them into the realm of contemporary critical discourse. She also believes that viewers bring their own interpretations to art. What might appear merely decorative to some could hold deeper layers of meaning. In this way, her paintings engage with the audience on multiple levels, offering immediate visual pleasure, while also inviting deeper reflection on the cultural narratives behind them. For Yukhnovich, painting is not just about representation, it is a process of understanding. Through her work, she deconstructs familiar imagery and rebuilds it in ways that challenge perception, historical hierarchy, and aesthetic expectations. So, to sum it up, one can say that Flora Yukhnovich's paintings are reinterpretations of history, femininity, and art itself. By merging gestural abstraction with Rococo excess, she lets us reconsider the boundaries between serious and decorative, controlled and chaotic, traditional and contemporary. That's a wrap on Flora Yukhnovich. If you found her work as fascinating as we did, make sure to subscribe, because there's plenty more art, history, and creative chaos coming your way.